Hello, I am Abdel Musa Bakisise, a third year Global Challenges student, and I'm focusing on environmental management. So, in relation to my learning journey, um, I may say in recent learning, since my takeaway from my second year study to third year has been massively great, whereas I get to learn more aspects about conservation challenges basically on the wildlife sector, and I also get to learn about wildlife economy, how it's dealt with, and also in the field of conservation. And so basically in my learnings I also get to know about the wildlife and conservation internal policy, whereas I get to attend a session by Dr. Francis, which gives me greater drive about wildlife and conservation, how it is dealt with, and also there were numerous examples that was given to us by Dr. Francis in that particular session, and also taking it through a video which tells us about the importance of wetlands for human beings and the issues that are most precious resources are facing. So I also got through research which tells that wetlands are so important for people because it is essential to all life matters on earth, and also that keeps the water cycle, because like the hugely diverse ecosystem which are vital to human beings. But over half of the world wetland has been destroyed due to climate change, following so many other destructions like droughts, flooding, pollution, and also species loss. So by Ramsar, which is by working together to protect these precious resources, all because each of us depend on water. So if each of us depends on water, that means we can make difference on our own in some kind of way from the line that I receive from Ramsar. So we can make so many differences on our own. So also in taking it down to the part 2 of the study, there are two questions being asked, whereas the first one is how does the company determine how impacted habitat is critical. So I got to do a research, and from various research I can say has been done. Firstly, endangered species acts like ESA in the manner of far-reaching wildlife protection. So it's administered by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services in the Department of Interior, NOAA Fisheries, and the Service of the Department of Commerce. And also designation of critical habitat. So when looking at the species, when you're talking about habitat, looking at the species is listed under the ESA services, and that is generally must also designate critically habitat for the species to include in some specific areas, which we can say in geographical areas that are occupied by these species at the time it will be listed. So next we can say impact of critical habitat, right? So the designation of critical habitat does not directly affect actions. It does not affect actions that are wholly not federal. So moreover, in that aspect, there are general prohibition on the disturbance or alteration of critical habitat. So however, the fact that an area is designated as critical habitat should be considered. It should always be considered when analyzing whether a proposed action should be potentially bringing a result in terms of when you're taking action to listed species. So the second question and the part 2 tells us when an offset is required and when might an out of kind of offset be appropriate. So also looking at this one, it also tells us that biodiversity offset has been defined by business of biodiversity programs with measures taken to compensation for any significant adverse impact that can avoid, minimize, or rehabilitate or restore in order to achieve the loss of gain of any offset, right? So with all that, biodiversity offsets are appealing to develop and often also to get regulators since they appears to offer best of the world solution in the trade of inheriting vast majority of development approval in some level of environmental impact that is unavoidable and biodiversity offset. I thank you.